Bongani Dumelang Absheni, hello and welcome to Tsa-Sgela with Kgau. My name is Kgau, but you guys can call me KG. What do you do, baby? I am your host with the most, doing the most. Today's conversation is one of, chilled vibes, and today's guest is someone people don't expect to have. You don't expect to have a lecturer, go podcast, and you sometimes we fear our lectures, but don't worry. Today we have you guys. We're gonna ask questions and you're gonna get your answers of becoming a lecturer and also everything about the mining industry, right? So, as you guys know, the podcast is just a series that delves into the lives of professionals, whether in various career fields, and we just want to get insights, the ups, the downs, the challenges that they face, and just to inspire and educate the upcoming or the aspiring professionals in certain career fields. So you guys already know, Hore, you can find us on our social media platforms. You can engage with us on our social media platforms. And if you have a story to tell, you can send us an email at tsa-sgela1@gmail.com, and just make sure you are watching from the start until the end, and you don't finish in the middle and then you start asking us questions that we answered in the first 30 minutes of the video or the episode. So just make sure you watch everything, and we're going to get started with our guest today. Before we get into it, I'm going to read a bio, just the normal, way of doing things here in the podcast. She is a passionate mining lecturer, an industry aspect that is driven by a clear vision to unlock South Africa's mineral wealth for the benefit of its people. With a strong background in the mining sector, she has dedicated herself to education and beneficiation, ensuring the Constitution's provisions on minerals are fulfilled. Today, she shares her remarkable journey, valuable insights, and lessons learned from her experiences in the industry. I didn't mention her name because I have a problem with pronouncing people's names, So, how are you today?
I'm good. I understand about pronouncing people's surnames. I butcher vendor names. I don't know. I even just keep quiet.
Yeah. I'd rather let you introduce yourself. Just tell us where you come from, who you are, and what you are currently doing today.
Awesome. So my name is Melia Mekgwe. I am originally from the Northern Cape in Kuruman, but however, I grew up predominantly here in Gauteng. I finished my schooling in Johannesburg South in a school called Zachariah Park. And then from there on, I went on to tertiary qualification. Matriculated in 2008, and then I went to tertiary. I finished my honors degree, and then I just went to the industry, and then I'm a lecturer as you introduced me.
A lecturer. So, okay, before your tertiary education, was mining always something you wanted to do, or you were interested in something else and just happened that, mining came as you went?
It's very interesting because the way that I chose mining in the year 2008 was the day I received Jesus in my heart. So I opened up the Bible one day and I opened up to the book of Ezekiel. And then here was Ezekiel talking about all these gemstones and how, man goes to the depth of the belly's earth. And I thought, this is very fascinating, because I thought, do I really want to be a doctor? And then I thought, no, God can heal people. Let me do something that really needs me to put my hands and construct something. So engineering was an option. Mining engineering. I remember I had three options. It was mining engineering, it was civil engineering as well. So I can say that I've always wanted to be an engineer. And mining was just sparked up from reading that chapter in the book of Ezekiel. I thought to myself, wow. And I just had a fascination of gemstones, ruby, diamonds.
Mineral resources.
Yes, minerals in general. So I think my curiosity, it was sparked from there on. And ever since, I just loved mining engineering. And then I was like, this, I am doing it.
From a Bible.
From the Bible. I just picked it up and then I read the passage, the chapter in Ezekiel, and then I just loved how it illustrated and painted this picture. You know, I was like, you know what? I'm doing this. This is what I want to do.
You want to
I just
challenge yourself.
loved the fanciness of gemstones, the beauty of gemstones. And I was so curious as to how are they extracted from the earth. I wanted to be part of that story, that I was once part of people who extracted these valuable minerals
Resources.
from beneath the earth's crust. So that was how basically I got into mining.
And you didn't have like some form of fear. Oh, I'm going underground and
I didn't at all. I think, you know what they say, that ignorance is bliss. I really did not have any background of mining. I hadn't visited a mine before that. Even though I'm from the Northern Cape, you would think that maybe I
you
know
have
someone
experience.
who works
Yeah.
in the mine, works at the mine. I don't know. I don't have any uncles in the mining industry. I didn't know even a single clue. I didn't even see a video of mining. But however, I just knew that this is what I want to do and that's it. I didn't have any fear because I really did not know the intricate details of what it takes to be a mining
miner.
engineer. Only later on in life, throughout my career, then I get really highlighted and my eyes are open. Okay, all right, okay. So, but I'm loving the journey.
I wish Lina I could have gotten something tipnyana from the Bible or somewhere in J just to say, you know what, your career give this or your interest is this. Because sometimes we do get into courses and stuff like that, but then we don't fully know if vele we interested in the career field. So I'm glad that you were able to you know have that interest in the beginning. Hooray! This is what I want to do.
Yes, I thank you.
So how did your academic journey start? Like your tertiary kind of journey? And you applied, you knew hooray. You have three options. You mentioned civil and mining, right?
Yes.
And the other one was?
I can't remember the last one that I had, but usually that's what they asked in the application forms. Yes.
So how was the process of actually getting into tertiary? Was it a smooth sailing one, or it had some difficulties with regards to, you know, it didn't meet the requirements, you had to change courses? What was the reason behind choosing three options and not just one option of mining engineering?
Okay. So when I applied, right, at one of the institutions, I gave those three options, civil mining. So in matric, you know, by the grace of God, I matriculated top of my class. So I was fortunate, I was accepted in all the three. And then now the decision was
which one
with me, as to say, which one now do I want? The civil accepted me, the mining accepted me. Which one do I want to? And I went with mining, as to say that I want to do this. You know, this is exactly what I feel that God wants me to do, and I will do it. So I remember when I started in that a year, you need registration fees. I don't have a bursary. My mother is not working. So what did I do is that, you know, I had blind faith. You know, I was a new Christian. I was like, you know what, I'm going there. I don't know what needs to be paid for or what needs to be done, but I'm going. That's the only thing that I knew, that I'm going there. I'm leaving with my degree. So when I went there, the registration fees. So fortunately enough, for every distinction that you get from matric, they write off a certain amount from your registration fee. So that is exactly what happened. I think I had about 4 distinctions. So they wrote off a certain amount from that registration fee. And then the difference, my uncle from back at home, I think then he was working in Northwest, he paid the difference.
Wow.
He paid the difference and then I got started. When I got started, the CETA sector of mining industry, which is MQA, the Mining Qualifications Authority, they came to the school to say that, you know, we want to sponsor so many people. Can they come for the interview? I went there and I got the bursary.
Wow.
So that is how I was able to make it through my first year, I got distinctions, and my uncle helped to pay off the difference, and my tuition fees, MQA covered it all. So that was a very good start. I must say it wasn't as hectic as other people's stories, but I thank God for that
For the opportunity.
opportunity.
Yo. And with regards to the program itself, I know you did BSc and
Yes.
not this one. How was the program conducted? Like, how long was the program? What was happening? Because with our one that we did this year or
The
now,
BTech.
it's kind of different from the BSc. Apparently, you guys had also 6 months of, experience in the mines, and you would visit the mines for 6 months and you do your
Yes.
practical project, if I'm not, yeah. So how was it different from what we did?
With a BSc honors, mining engineering, right, is offered to in the three. It's VETS, it's UJ, it's UP, and UNISA.
Yes, yeah.
So it's four institutions. At VETS, they offer the BSc honors, which is what I did. But it's the way it's outlaid is that it's a 4-year program, and then you automatically graduate with your honors degree.
Okay.
Unlike with at UJ, it's 3 years, and then you must come back for your postgraduate.
Yeah.
So that is how it was laid out. But as you say that there was some vacation work as well that you had to be exposed to. So I did my vacation work in my second year and also in my third year. So in the second semester, when you're done with classes, and then from there on, we knew that we had to find a vacation work, and then we had to do our vacation work to get that exposure, that experience. Yes. So in my first and second vacation work, I did it with a gold company, a very well-known gold company, and that is how I managed to obtain my exposure here. But the layout is first year basically is just the fundamentals of engineering. Only in second year, third year, then you go deeper into the knowledge of mining engineering in particular.
So with regards to the vacation work, you look for the company yourself, or it was sponsored by the bursary that you had?
Okay, by then it was still MQA, right? So I think before I even shed light on my sponsor that time, I must just go back. So in my second year, it so happened that I didn't do well, so I had to repeat some lessons. So with the reason that I failed, MQA dropped me, right? And then they dropped me. So my mother made means. She
make
went
sure,
back home to the Northern Cape. She looked for a job to at least sustain me through that year. So what happened was that this gold company approached the School of Mining Engineering and said that, you know what, we are looking for a certain number of females that we want to take for vacation work, right? And then so we went for our vacation work. I didn't apply. The approach doesn't say that, you know what, we have so many spots. All right, we need a certain number. It was not only females, but also males as well. It was a mixture of us. And it was not only that particular institution, but it was different, institutions as well. Because I remember we were all there, we had fun. It was so much of fun. So what happened was that at the end of the vacation work, they were like, we need a certain number of students. I can't remember the exact number that we are going to sponsor. And that is how I got a bursary
from
that company. So, and then from there on, I just kept on going back for the second vacation work. And that is how I basically ended up getting my vacation work. It was them basically who approached the school to say that we need a certain
number
numbers.
of
We want a
students.
certain number. And then I was fortunate enough to make the list.
Guys, some things when they are meant for you, they are really meant for you,
Exactly. We thank God.
We thank God, hey.
Yeah.
So when you look at the experience that you had with regards to the BSc in honors, do you think there's some adjustments that can be made with the BTech program like right now? Because I know there's differences, right? And sometimes you might find that as students, we don't have bursaries, and it's difficult because now people are coming into the engineering field, and it's a bit, let me not say crowded, but there's a large number of people coming into the industry. So would you say there can be some adjustments or something that can be made to maybe not go back but improve on the take that
Yes.
we currently doing?
Yes. No, definitely. There's always room for
Mm,
improvement. The mining engineering I'm doing now that I did then,
mm,
it shouldn't be the same mining engineering content that a student today in university does.
mm,
And why am I saying so? Because you know what? There's an evolution in life. The life today we are living in is more technologically advanced, more
mm,
AI advanced. So we really need to refocus our shift as to how can we make our students employable?
mm.
How can we make them retainable, in that kind of sense? Because as well, I do believe there are some courses that, institutions should look into giving their students.
Mm,
I remember one of the students asked me in the module that I was rendering this semester, and then he was like, so what you're saying is that even after I get my degree, I must go and study something else,
mm.
And then what I realized was what he said, it's the unfortunate truth, and it shouldn't be like that.
Yeah,
When you leave the institution, you must be equipped with all these skills as well that is
true.
needed, because now what I did in mining is not what you are necessarily going to do.
Mm.
So I believe that yes, there are some certain adjustments
That can be
that
made. Mm.
must be done for it to cater to students that you may be employable as well. So it's just a matter of changing the refocus, because there is plenty of jobs for mining engineering. But
True.
however, the students that we are taking out, they are not going to survive that pool, because education is very rife.
Mm.
I mean, nowadays the higher your
You
education
start off.
qualification, the better.
Mm.
So that's one thing that we can definitely look at, to say that, what, let's make it mandatory. You study until you get your honors, then you can leave. So no, definitely that should be implemented. Data analytics, working with AI tools, or looking at the reliability engineering, mixing the two
The two
fields,
things,
because
yeah.
that is exactly what is expected from you in industry.
Mm. I think we need also connecting maybe a year, an extra year of being in the mines and working as, just before we graduate or get those degrees, just to get the reality of what actually is going on in the mining industry as a student. Because sometimes you get to interviews or you get to, outside, and you think, I don't think this is something that I want to do, because you not because of the industry
Mm-hmm.
itself, but because you were you were not really aware of what
Mm-hmm.
the
What is
mining
expected
exactly what the
from
mining
you?
is all about. Like, you didn't really understand that when you get there, these conditions that you have to
Yes.
survive. You have to work under certain working conditions. Sometimes you might find that you think you think this is something that you want to do, but
It's
because of
actually different.
your sickness, and you find that some people, they can't work in the mines because they're sick, or because,
Yes.
so some of these things we don't know
Mm-hmm.
until you get into the
That's
industry,
true.
and you find that it's been
Like,
years
yeah.
and you can't go back.
Mm-hmm. And people knew about this, but then they did not tell you.
Exactly. So yeah, ne,
Yeah.
it's a bit of a problem,
It
but
is. It is. And I disagree and I agree with you in
mm,
in 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 that sense, that you're saying that what if perhaps there are health conditions, or maybe physical conditions that I cannot meet,
mm,
the certain requirements for me to work in the industry. And then that is so much true. I think, such things should definitely be made available, or brought to the knowledge of the student. But another aspect that why I want to disagree is that When you go to university and you're studying something like mining engineering, yes, the end product, we want everyone to be mining engineers, but
Not
unfortunately,
everyone.
that is not the reality.
True.
Not everyone. But however, what we want the students to gain is that your mind has to be expanded in such a way that you think as an engineer. Because if you start to expand your mind and you think as an engineer, you can do well in anything that you set your mind to.
True.
So even though we want you to go into production, we know that that will not happen.
Yeah.
Some of the students may end up like me, some will go to technical fields, but however, because now your mind is so stretched out, is very elastic, you now think like an engineer. Like, for example, this plant that we have in front of us, a scientist will see different to an engineer. And a person who did arts will see different to an engineer.
True.
A person who did social science will see different. So that is basically what we want the student to appreciate. That your mind has to be so elastic and expanded that you can do anything in life. Because mining as well is very diverse. There's underground, there's surface, there's a gold, there's a coal. So environments, they change the people. Even though perhaps maybe there are health conditions that you may not be ideal for the gold environment, but however, perhaps maybe in the surface mines you can do that.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, we may not have the liberty to choose exactly where we want to.
Exactly.
It's all about opportunities that come to you.
Hey, but at least we think the conversations that we have, at least to just educate people on these things that we have. So you graduated with honors.
Yes.
Now, what's the next step with your, are you thinking, I want to be a lecturer? I just want to understand where did the idea of being a lecturer come about? Were you in production? Did you think you want to do production, or you just knew that you want to be a lecturer and you want to further your studies?
Okay, so entering the education sector, it's something that I had wanted to do, from a young child.
Okay.
I'd always wanted to be a teacher.
Okay.
But however, it was later in my life, not too soon, like the way it came through now, but it was something that was definitely at the back of my mind that, you know what, I want to go into this space. It is something that I love to do. If you can tell my friends, when I told them I'm going to be a lecturer, I got this job, they were not surprised. They're like,
we knew
this job suits you. So I graduated with my honors, and then I went to work in one of the gold mines. I spent time there. Then from there, I went back home in Northern Cape in a manganese mine. Unfortunately, I met with an accident. So as well, with the accident, as you say, there are some conditions that really restrict you and restrain you from
working,
doing other aspects in the mining industry. So I thought, you know what, I was still recovering. It was a hectic accident. I was like away from work for like more than a year, 1 year, 6 months. That's how bad it was. So I thought to myself that, you know what, I just needed to go away from the work environment as well. The work environment was very toxic. I was recovering from a lot of things from life, and I felt that I needed a breather. This other colleague of mine, we're not even close, hey? I don't know how she randomly thought about me. She sent me this, and like, Melia, did you see this post at this institution? I was like, I didn't see it, but let me apply. And, after her, I saw it again from the second time. I was like, you know what, Lord, let me just go ahead and apply. I applied. I traveled for the interview from Northern Cape to Gauteng. And then I traveled back to Gauteng as well. And then I remember the day before that, I told my mother that, Mom, I'm going to work, but I'm going to resign. And this was the second time I was telling her, and then at least now she didn't fight me. And then now, when I was on the bus going to work, because it's very far, when I was on the bus going to work, I get a call from the institutions. Melia, you got the job.
Mm.
I was so excited. I was like, you know what? I was even on my way to go and resign, whether I got the job or not. But however, I got the job, and then here I am. And then I thought to myself, this kind of work, I wanted to do it later in life,
In
but
life,
here
yeah,
I
it
am
comes.
now. And then you know what? I'm loving everything I do. I'm loving the research aspect, the learning aspect, because you must familiarize yourself with at least many things in mining. So it puts pressure on me. As much as the students are learning, I'm also learning,
Yeah.
because in my experience, I only know the gold and only know the narrow tabular kind of environment. So now I must get to adjust to basically most of the mining methods. So I'm learning and I'm loving the experience as well. It's something that I do want to carry on to do, because now I am doing my master's with the university. I just submitted my draft to my supervisor, and then I get his feedback, and then we'll just continue. But I do want to continue
Continue
in
with
this
it.
path of being a lecturer in the industry.
Oh, okay. So you mentioned that expanding your knowledge and doing research. Is this something that you always have to do as a lecturer? That you, because okay, you might find that sometimes when you might come up with, you might have a situation where you ask a question and you don't know anything about it. So you have to always make sure
Yes.
that you are
You're knowledgeable. For a lecture,
mm,
I have to spend like the whole previous day just researching, because there's nothing like over preparation, right? But I prepare myself thoroughly. I anticipate questions from students. If we are talking about maybe a socket, I make sure that I exhaust the
the
concept of
concept.
what a socket is until you gain the understanding of what a socket is. So there is so much of learning to do as well, because the industry is very dynamic. It's very dynamic, that we have to be abreast with the industry and also teach it as well to the students as well, because we cannot teach you the traditional kind of mining. That is not what is being done now.
Done in now,
We have to
yeah.
teach you all these technological advances as well. So as well as a lecture, you owe it to your students as well, that you're imparting the knowledge to, that you must be
You must,
abreast. You
yeah,
must know the latest trends
updates.
within the industry. Yes.
Yo. So I can't be a lecturer and not know anything. Like I want to be
No.
a lecturer, but I don't have the experience.
No, no, no. Being a lecturer, you must have a specialty.
Yeah.
You must have a specialty. Like, for example, I was in the first semester, the module that I was doing was based on metalliferous mining method. So that is just an exact area, a small portion of the entire
Mining
mining.
industry.
Yes. So you must be forever ever learning, and then you must just sit with what you have given. Because as you are a professional as well, you will know general things about a broad subjects
Yeah.
as well. So if they give you maybe occupational therapy, then you have to specialize on that, learn about that, research about that. So you must also get yourself acquainted with exactly what that module demands from you.
So you are given a module that you're gonna specialize in.
Yes.
Oh, I thought you specialize in the module first and then you only apply for, like, you know how a teacher,
It
when
could be.
it could,
It,
okay,
it, it
okay.
could also work that way, especially when perhaps the department of the school has a liberty of doing that. Like maybe if they want a blasting specialist or a blasting engineer to teach on a certain aspect of a
Okay.
module. Sometimes, the department can rotate the lectures around, but because I'm a mining engineer, so I'll just focus on things that concern with mining engineers. Mine survey lectures will only do
Do one.
mining survey lecture and modules related.
No, now I thought it's like the teacher thing where you just like, you know what, I'm good with this. I know social science, then I'm just gonna apply for the role
Yes,
as,
it
yeah.
could be.
It could be
because my background, as I said, as I went to gold
gold.
mining,
Yeah,
metalliferous, so hence why this module suited me more because I have more experience. I'm
with the
more
metal.
knowledgeable on that kind of aspect. So yes, definitely, what you're saying is correct.
That's nice because I also want to be a lecturer, by the way.
Yes, yes, you must come and must join
But I'm
us.
still thinking.
No, you must come here, must join us. Minimum requirement, they just need a master's.
Masters.
Yes, I'm a master's. That's the minimum requirement. I think for all institutions it's like that.
Is it for only? Is it in general or only for a
In
mining?
general,
Or in general?
for you to
Okay,
get the permanent position, you just
position.
need a minimum of a master's. So with me, I'm just in the department under MQA. So also I'm just learning towards the master. So after that, then we can
You
talk
good.
about the permanent years.
So I want to get into your. You were a graduate mining engineer, right?
Yes.
How was the experience?
The experience, it was tough, eh?
Mm.
It was tough going into the metalliferous mine, underground mining, gold mining. It was tough in the sense that I'm a female,
Mm-hmm.
I'm black,
Ish.
I'm short, I'm very petite in my physique. So it was kind of difficult because acceptance as well. It was difficult to get acceptance, acceptance from the
From
people
the
that I was working with,
ish.
my crew members as well. Unfortunately or fortunately, many of the laborers, of the employees of the mining industry, they were generally old men, old men,
Mm.
people that could be older than my uncles, older than my fathers. They were very old. So because of the mindset as well that they have had from historical
True.
experiences, cultural differences, it was engraved within them. A woman cannot lead them, a woman cannot do this. So now here am I, a female, and I'm going to be their
The
supervisor.
supervisor.
It was very difficult because it took them a very long
Long time.
time. I think it was only after I had left that's when now they opened up to me. They call me even till today.
Today.
My team leaders like, hey, Melia, they called me Melia. Melia, how are you? This and that. I'm like, no, I'm fine. Because you know what? It had to take them a long time to adjust to, there's a migration now to younger people
True.
coming into the industry. Because remember, previously, their supervisors were old, matured men, whether it was white or black people, right? But now it was youngsters who are coming,
Women
whether it
also.
was male or female, but it was youngsters, or old enough to even be their children, was going to supervise them. So they were confronted with a lot of harsh truth, in a short space of time.
Yeah.
And it was not easy for them. So I also had to just, put myself in their shoes as well. Like, how would a man who's very, cultural, deeply rooted, how will they react to a woman? So it was difficult that, it made my experience very,
Very tough.
difficult.
Ish.
I remember, working in the panel alone, they've all left carrying the box of explosives alone inside the galley. And that's how they hated me. I was like,
Alone.
alone. But I stuck it out. I was like, you know what? I'm just here to do my job, and that's it. And I loved my job. I loved my job. And, I was given a good crew as well. They were the best performing crew. So that was also an advantage that I had. So it was very difficult, I must say.
Yeah, Mara, I think it happens with all the industries, like all career fields, where you get, the younger generation taking up leadership positions, and there's always
That's true.
that gap of, we can't be controlled or led by someone younger. You have to, it's just one of those
resistance to change.
Yes, it's just one of those societal issues or mindsets that I think we need to change.
That's true.
Yeah, but it's parents at the end of the day. You can't convince them otherwise.
Exactly.
You can't.
Hey?
So, How do you think your experience as a graduate mining engineer shaped your whole experience as a mining professional?
It has shaped it a lot because, with being a graduate, it
Mm,
gives you that knowledge, that knowledge. And then with having gone through the production route and the other mining company that was at, it gives you the experience as
experience.
well. So it contributed so much in what I'm doing now that you definitely need the knowledge, the qualification, the formal training, formal qualification, and then you also need the experience. Because when you're in class, students will ask you questions that you did not even think about
About,
yourself.
yeah,
But because you have the experience of that exact situation, you
you're
are
able
able
to.
to relate back or to answer them exactly what. So I found that there was such an advantage that these two drew from that, eh, you know, I understood the concept
Mm,
formally and also
practical.
experientially as well.
Mm,
So it was a good learning curve to merge the two because basically that's what I love about my job as well. You're basically merging your qualifications and also your experience, and you're just imparting this knowledge to people. You're bringing clarity, bringing insight. Things may be very hard to explain, but because of your experience, it makes it easy for the next person to really understand what you're trying to project to them.
mm, that's good. So, what do you think as maybe 5 tips that you can give to someone who wants to be a lecturer in general, not mining related or anything, just a lecturer at a certain institution?
Mhm.
Just 5 tips you think would be helpful for that
Yes.
person to have to be to navigate the lecturing, thing.
Okay. Number one, you must be patient.
Mm.
Okay. Be patient with yourself. Be patient with yourself. As I said, the minimum requirement is a master's.
Mm,
So and getting a master's is what? Minimum 2 years, 3 years, 4 years maximum.
mm,
Correct. So be patient with yourself. Know that you will eventually get to the exact position. And after a master's, you must work towards what? A PhD as well. And that takes a long
long
time
time.
as well. So you need to be patient with yourself. Why am I saying that? Because as much as you want to study further, there are the demands of life as well. That are
True.
also demanding your attention on this side, and then you cannot fully. So be patient and also pay attention to what you are doing. Be focused on what you are doing. One thing that I've learned a lot while doing my master's is that I have to be focused, being focused and pay attention to what I'm doing.
Mm,
I dropped so many things that were taking my
the
attention away,
time.
activities,
Mm.
and I had to sit down with myself. I'm like, actually, this I don't need it. This is not contributing towards
To
me getting my master's. So pay attention and focus on one thing. You know, it is the time where you cannot multitask, do a lot
yeah.
of things at
Mm,
once time. So when you're studying something like a master's or a PhD, it really needs you that. And also be inquisitive. Is this the third or the fourth?
I think it's the third.
That
Yes.
be inquisitive as well. Have that curiosity.
Curiosity, ask
Because when you
questions.
go into lecturing, right, we said that you must be a researcher as well. Not only a researcher in terms of the module that you will
You
deliver,
do.
but also as you as a profession. You are a lecturer, but you're also a researcher. You know, like for example, in the mining industry, what has really caught my attention, what has gotten me thinking, and like for example, I think a lot about blasting, rock breaking. I think a lot about mine planning. So those are the research and the interest that I have in mining engineering. So be inquisitive about something like that, and then do your research as well. Love researching. I love researching because research, we may be working from, yeah, for institutions, right? But you know what? Even till the night, 12, 12 o'clock, I am still on my laptop. I'm working, because that's how I love my job. I'm always curious on the things that I'm interested in. And then also, finally, you must just love what you do.
True.
Know that being a lecturer, you are not going to work in isolation. You are going to work with students.
Students, yeah.
And students, they come with diversity. Students are very different. So you must be able to modulate your personality so that you can cater to
Everyone.
one of those students. How are you going to relate to those loud students? How are you going to relate to those students who are afraid to ask questions in the class? So you must really love what you do, love the people, love your job that you're doing, because the money difference, yes, it's there. We cannot shy away from it. It's there. But then what will keep you in the academia world is the love of what you are doing.
I love that you said you have to love what you're doing, because sometimes it can be a problem.
Yeah.
When you get into a space and it's like you're being forced to be in that area, and now everything is just being affected. The students, how you connect with the students, it gets affected. How sometimes I even ask myself if, when lectures set tests and exams, I feel like sometimes maybe when they're setting the exam or the test, they might not be, happy or in the mood, and they would think,
like we want to spite
like you want to make sure, what, these kids, they will know me today, because sometimes the tests and the exams or the assignments given can be a bit, too advanced. Let me just say too advanced. And then you find that the students they're not there yet. They don't have the experience like that. So we might find, like, as I asked myself sometimes,
how did I make it?
The lecturers, sometimes there's a thing that they normally say as students would see. Sometimes we feel like the lecturers give us their research
for us to do.
It's like it's like you've been given a project or an assignment or something, research,
and then you suspect,
it's not make sure the lecturer here. This one I'm helping the lecturer here, But I mean, it's one of those things,
It's one of those things, and as well, like you must love what you do because the energy that you input translate to the students as well. And then, going back to the question of setting difficulties, it's really not about maybe spiting the students, but it's about making the student to learn. As I said in the beginning, it's about expanding your
knowledge,
brain. Your brain is very elastic. So if we give you the same thing that you have been eating in the classroom, you will not learn.
True.
Once you stop studying or learning something new, your brain, it actually stops growing. So we know your capability as students. If you entered and you qualified for you to get a B Tech, you are more than qualified for you to exit. And you are more than qualified for you to do this particular assignment. And perhaps maybe, yes, other contents may not be covered, but however, we want to see your abilities in researching, your abilities in asking the right questions. Which is something that I don't think students do, that you don't apply your mind as you should. And basically now it's defeating the purpose. The purpose is not just you living with a program. I mean, that is an obvious factor. I mean, if you can get in, you can go out.
You can go out,
But now we are more interested in the process. That how are you going to adjust to this learning curve? How are you going to meet new concepts? Because those concepts, you will not only meet them in university, but also in the out world, in the reality. How are you going to deal with them as a students? For us to endorse you in this institution, we must know that you are capable of doing that.
You heard it, guys. We are not trying to spite you.
No.
You must just expand your minds.
That's it.
Yeah. Experience and your skills. Have kind of reasoning capacity and
Reasoning capacity.
technical problem solving, skills,
Exactly.
as an engineer. We're not trying to,
Yes.
you
Yeah.
know,
Because that's what's needed in the world, your problem solving skills, analytical skills. Even though you may not go to the mines, but you can go to the financial sectors and still do well with what you have been equipped with as an engineer. As soon as your proposed employer sees that you are an engineer, they know the kind of abilities that you have in your mind. So they take that to their advantage. So it's all about expanding your mind, knowing things as an engineer.
So, what are some of the misconceptions people have actually about lecturers?
The misconceptions that people have as lecturers is that as a lecturer, how can I say this? That you don't have a lot to do, or maybe it's just one thing that you're doing. But I'm telling you, lectures are very busy.
Busy.
They're very busy, and then we are always working. Even if I'm not on campus, I'm not in my office, I am working, I'm researching, I'm doing this. So one thing about lectures that we are forever busybodies, whether it is us going from campus to the industry or whether it is us researching or writing papers, which is also another thing is that we must also be writing papers, journals, entry from the research that we got. So we are a busy people, even though I might see you once or 3 times a week. But know that in my absentia, I
You're
am somewhere
busy.
else doing something related to the academia.
Good, I won't survive most as a lecturer because I
No,
must
you
always
won't.
be here on books.
You
I used to love novels, reading books, but now
You must get back to that. I mean, reading is a primary thing that you must get back to the every day.
you are
You must
reading.
read.
You must read.
You must read, yeah. You must get books, read something. That's how your mind grows. That's how you
You
adjust.
learn
That's how you
also.
transform. You learn also. And it may not be a particular area, even something that's not related.
Yeah.
You learn because you acquaint yourself with the knowledge of that certain aspect.
Guys, learn. Stop complaining about books. You chose to come to university.
Yes.
Exactly. So, why lecturing and not production? Aside from the fact that you said you love, you've always wanted to be a teacher, but I mean, sometimes it happens that you may enjoy production more, and then you still chose lecturing. Yeah.
Why lecturing? Because I love lecturing. I think also it ties in so much with things that I also do outside of my profession as well. I'm into public speaking and also learning as well. And I just love teaching people.
People,
Whatever
okay.
that I read, I love teaching people, imparting the knowledge that I have onto other people. So when this opportunity came, I was like, wow, it's exactly what I
you want.
want. Let me just stick to it because you get to teach people, you get to interact with people as well. And it may not necessarily be, graduates like your students, but also people on that are higher than you who have done PhDs and research. It's quite lovely to interact with them and sharing that knowledge as well, growing as a person. So that is why I love lecturing, is the world of knowledge. You get and you also give.
That's nice. Guys, Ibanama lectures.
Yeah.
Lectures.
Yes.
It's a nice thing
It
to have.
is.
You are in control. You are always in control.
Yeah,
So,
basically.
okay, as a lecturer, name, let's say you have gonna get public speak because public speaking is something that most people it's a problem to most people.
Yes.
How do you then like put yourself out there to the students and just teach?
Yes.
Is public speaking something you always knew, or you always had the skill, or it's something that you learn along the way of along the process of lecturing and stuff like that?
It's definitely something that you learn along the way. Something that I always tell my student is that communication is a skill.
It's a skill.
You learn it along the way. Yes, they are born communicators, they are born leaders, they're this and that, but then you can also learn to communicate. You can also learn how to be a leader. So fortunately with me, I had always been exposed to speaking publicly, whether it's from school. I loved speeches.
Speaking.
In English classes, I loved reading novels, like how you said. So that is how I got acquainted with this discipline of public speaking as well. And then also what really helps is knowing the content you are going to speak upon. I mean, that's what really relieves the nerves. That's what gives you the confidence to go up in front of, I have like
Large
hundreds,
number,
a large number of students. That's what gives you the confidence to stand boldly before people and lecture them and teach them something, because you know it like the back of your hand. You've done a lot of research into this concept. You anticipate the questions that they should have on it. So I believe it's all about that, knowing exactly the content, and also polishing, refining your skills. If you know that you have a problem with nerves, go and read about how to not avoid it, but how to address that issue.
Yeah, the nerves.
Follow people on social media, who are good communicators. That is what I do. I learn, even to today, I learn about communicating, enunciation. How do you play with your vocal ranges, this and that. So that all, they contribute, and something that you have to learn. It's a skill.
It's a skill, Shamlina. I have to start reading books now.
It's a skill. And one thing that I see youngsters, my students especially, is being stuck in this one dimension, that they are like this. I am a soft person. I don't like people. I cannot change. No, it's not about you changing. It's about, does this fit where you are going? Does this fit your purpose, your character that you are now? Yes, you are a soft person. You don't like people, but is it working for you? If it's not, then change it.
Yeah.
You won't die by changing it. Adjust and teach yourself what you need for you to be effective in that industry.
We are learning every day, guys. We are learning every day. So where do you see the mining industry in about 5 to 10 years from now?
The mining industry, 5 to 10 years now, it has even begun right now. Okay? We are no more going the conventional routes of mining.
Yeah.
Okay, I think it's only maybe mines that are like more than 20 years old who are still using the old kind of traditional equipment. But it's advancing so much. Why am I saying that? Now we are talking about the use of a expansive agent for rock breaking. Using non-explosive. We are now talking about digital twinning. So we are so much evolving. We are going towards the technological advance, the AI generation. So that is how it is about. It's now about taking people away from danger, decreasing the number of people that are there, and then having more people that are skilled, more professionals now that are running basically a mine, which is basically what we all have to come to the full knowledge of. When you come to the mining industry, fine, you may start off as a miner, you may start off as shift boss, but then as you grow as well, you realize that, I like reliability engineering. I like mine planning. So you get to specialize. And then in your specialty as well, you just draw in technological concepts that may already be available. And then you implement them in your mind. So the mine is very advanced now. It's technological now. Yes.
Yo. I was going to ask other questions, about the mining industry and,
It's a good topic.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. And I feel like there's a lot to learn. That's why you said we have to read every day, do our research every day.
It's changing.
It's changing.
The landscape of mining is different in South Africa to Australia.
Yo,
You know, you must the fundamentals, yes, may be the same, the principles, but then the culture, this and that.
it's
So
different.
it's very dynamic.
Yo, unfortunately, time.
Unfortunately.
But don't worry, guys. We have so much to talk about on this podcast. We have so many stories to tell, so many stories that people want to share. And you just have to keep on checking the podcast and get. And don't worry, if you have a story to share, you can write to us on our email using Tsa-Sgela at Tsa-Sgela1@gmail.com. And you should engage with us on our social media platforms if you want to ask Miss Melia.
Yes.
Yes. If you want to ask Miss Melia questions about the mining industry, her journey or her academic journey, you can definitely ask them in the comment section, or you can also, do you have social media platforms?
I do have Facebook. I have, it's just Melia Mekgwe.
Okay.
Yes. I think I don't have Instagram.
You don't have Instagram. Okay.
Yeah.
Facebook, you can ask her questions. I'll definitely include them in the description box so that whoever has a question about the mining industry and just a general question that you have for her, you
Or
can
my
definitely
personal email, I'll give you.
Okay.
I think that is much better.
email me.
Yes.
I'll also include her personal email. So I want you guys are sorted. You don't need to worry. Just make sure that we read. Let's make sure that we read every day. We research and we just find ways of, being better people, right? So I'll see you guys in the next episode. Bye.
Bye.